Welcome to the Chips Podcast. I'm Alex Hale. I'm here with Darrell Parks, legendary coach, hitter whisperer extraordinaire. Welcome.
Thank you.
What sort of things do you feel are the most important when you are getting to work with a new hitter? What are the first things that you look for to kind of just jump into it?
Just to jump into it, generally I'm communicating with the guys, see what kind of language they speak, see if they're soft-spoken, if they're intense, so I can try to match or relate to how things are going, and then I get into the nuts and bolts. How's the swing? What are we looking for? What are you trying to get out of this one-on-one interaction that we're going to have here to start? And then we go from there. And then I just kind of look at the swing, and I'm basically a ground-up guy. You got to have a base to work with, so I just look there and just kind of work my way up.
When you see hitters getting into high school and college, what sort of things do you feel like get in the way in terms of like expectations versus process? How do those things interact?
Expectations over process. So generally, when you get into high school and college, guys tend to feel like they need to do more than maybe the expectation. They put a little more pressure on themselves instead of being realistic. And I break that down to hitters when we talk about situations. What's the situation? Break it down to as simple as, what do I need to execute here during my at-bat? And understand I can't get so wrapped up into that because it can change from one pitch to the next.
What do you think is the hardest adjustment for kids to make from youth ball to high school?
Probably that they will see more off speed, and that pitchers have the ability to locate pitches a little better.
A little better?
Yes, because guys are still going to miss, and that's what hitters need to understand, that guys are still going to miss. Am I prepared for that miss? Instead of just selling out on one spot.
Do you think guys should be looking thirds of the plate, zones? What's your take on it?
So I would say younger guys should maybe just split the plate in half. As you get older, then you can go thirds. I've talked to college and pro guys, and we break it down to the plate is 7 balls wide, and okay, what's the zone? Are you getting a ball off? So we're moving to 8. What can we do with those balls? How far can you extend? Where are you going to make contact, and what you need to do with this baseball? So then the more elite hitters understand barrel control and know what they can do, that they have a variety of things they can do with so many balls out on the plate and so many balls in on the plate.
When guys are talking about like positioning in the box, do you think guys are more on the plate too much, too far back, or how do you think that affects their approach and what they're able to handle?
Well, some kids don't have an approach to start with, so you almost need to start there. What's your approach? And your approach is dictated by what's the pitcher trying to do to you. So then that becomes an issue where, okay, what is this pitcher trying to do, and are they able to do that? And then you can start eliminating pitches, eliminating zones, and then that can maybe dictate how you stand in the box. If you're a guy that understands how to control your body, control the barrel, then generally you don't need to move. If a guy is really carving and nasty, then yeah, you need to make adjustments. Maybe you need to be able to get to that slider and get to it a little earlier before it breaks, so maybe you need to move up. If they're working you in, okay, there's a give and take, right? So just like if you're playing defense, you're going to give up something and you're going to take away something. So understand that as a hitter, that, okay, if I'm giving up something, then I just need to be able to just foul it off because I know this guy is going to miss at some point, right? If I can just get to that and foul it off, then I'm still covering what my plan is or my approach.
Right. You're not conceding the at-bat because, oh, well, that pitch is off the plate, and with 2 strikes, guys need to expand their zone.
Yes.
And it's not so much is it a strike or not, it's do I want to let that pitch get called, or do I want to risk it getting called? Whereas if I can get to it and just foul it off, it gives me a new life. I don't have to worry about it anymore. But you've coached a lot of really, really good hitters, and I've played against a lot of them. And what are the things that separated, in your mind, what are the things that separates the really, really elite hitters in not just their swings and their athletic ability, but like in their preparation and the questions they ask?
Okay, so guys will, generally when we break down things, when I'm working with probably a more elite hitter, is we find out what they do well and what they're not doing well. I generally ask, okay, what's getting you out? And is it a big deal or is it not? Okay, and so then we maybe work on what's getting you out. How can we approach this better? What are you doing? Are you leaking a little bit? Are you trying to anticipate that, or are you just trying to yank that and be a dead pull guy? I definitely want my guys to focus on hitting the ball gap to gap, which leads to pole. Okay, so if you can keep it fair, it's good. But it comes down to the good hitters understand what they can handle, and that's what we talk about. What can you not handle? Okay, so you need to eliminate that pitch. That pitch is getting you out. I think the real good hitters get themselves out as opposed to a pitcher getting them out. So, because they understand, okay, this guy's really good. I can concede. I'm just going to take my base knock the other way, backside, and, get after it. And then when he makes a mistake, I'm in a good position to do what I do. And good hitters recognize that, so they don't get outside themselves. Back to guys talking about trying to do too much at the plate. So, when you have a pitch you can handle, those guys generally handle it.
It's like watching guys like Tommy White collecting 100 RBIs last year, and it's like just taking what the game gives you, right? So gets a pitch early in a count that he can handle, doesn't try to do too much, gets the runs in, and those are the things that over the course of the season really add up. And then, in other situations, he'll pick his spots and kind of go for it a little bit more. And he's kind of got multiple swings that he's honed over the years. That he's got a little bit more aggressive, a little bit longer swing, and he's got, obviously his two-strike swing is kind of notorious now. It's spread out and his hips are like half turned. But I don't think guys need to go to that extreme, because you're talking about essentially a professional hitter who's in college right now, and you see more of that. But as the college landscape continues to change and guys are older now, it almost, a lot of times, certain conferences look like the minor leagues, and it's still not quite there, but it's much closer than it used to be. And now, how do you prepare guys for that next level mentally as they get closer to the end of their senior year and that summer before? Does the conversation change in terms of, okay, we're going into the fall, like, do you spend more time on weaknesses? Do you spend more time on strengths? Do you work on velocity, handling velocity, or what is your thought process?
So you're still getting down to what a guy can handle, what he can't handle. So you want to improve as a hitter, expand, what you're capable of doing. College guys going from high school into college were recruited because they can do certain things well. So understand that, continue to do that, and then get better. Probably the most frustrating thing from a coach or pitcher is a guy who's a tough out. Okay, we've seen those kind of guys that, how do I get this? I can never get this guy out. He always gets a barrel to the baseball or always gets the ball in play. And, that's the kind of guy you want to be so that you can work your way into the lineup, because sooner or later those balls are going to fall. But now we know that we're not sending a guy to the plate that he's just going to be an out in this situation because he's beat. But no, he's expanded. He's figured out how to hit that slider, and stay on the pitch and understand that I don't need to do too much with this, or, understanding, okay, how high can I go for an elevated fastball, and how do I stay on top of or behind. I talk to hitters about staying behind an elevated pitch rather than trying to get on top of it, because then that's like pulling an outside pitch.
Right.
You know, you're trying to do something different with your swing, which you don't need to do. Your swing is your swing, so understand how it works and understand what you can get away with.
So, jumping topics a little bit, you said, like, talked about getting into the lineup and things you have to be able to do. For guys going into college, there's always this big thing around bunting. Is bunting important, and does it matter if a guy knows how to bunt?
I would say it depends on the program. Are they a program that plays baseball all the way, or are they just a bunch of mashers, you know? And depends on where you're going and what are you recruited to do. But in the day and the age, I mean, I was just at a college game the other night, and there was still a shift where the third baseman was in the shortstop hole, and the shortstop was behind second base, and second baseman was shaded all the way over. I'm like, wait, why does this guy just lay down a bunt? Why does he just stay inside the ball, inside out and backside, and go the other way? Speed guys need to know how to bunt, because there's generally majority of the time a hit there for you if you can understand that. Okay. Obviously, if you're a team that plays team baseball, you need to know how to bunt. You need to know how to move runners when a guy is nasty, whatever, you know, because all it takes is maybe getting a guy into scoring position, and one guy gets a ball through the hole, and now you have that run, and it's a 1-0 game, and that might be the difference in the ball game. You know, so that's kind of how I look at it.
Puts pressure on the defense, and my argument is always, would it hurt you to learn how to bunt? Like, it doesn't hurt you to know how to bunt.
No.
So they never ask you. Worst case, you know how to bunt, and you never have to.
Right.
And I know I've seen guys before where they'll get an opportunity, they'll get put in a situation, and they'll be asked to bunt, and they can't do it. And then that's one more opportunity that, like, okay, the coach is in the back of his mind, all right, if he's in the lineup, I'm going to have to put somebody else in to get that bunt down. Now he's out. Now, like, you're missing opportunities that you don't have to.
Yeah.
And I saw that in college because I could get bunts down. I saw that in high school because I could get bunts down. When I was a sophomore on varsity, it was like, hey, we're facing a guy who's throwing 90, first game of the year. And they're like, get a sack bunt down. I was like, sweet. I was like, I know how to bunt. I was like, easy. Now I help the team. I'm not, getting overpowered in 30-degree weather with this guy.
Right.
But it was just something that kept me, it was one less thing to worry about. And I didn't have to be like, oh no, it's supposed to bunt. But I've had guys who miss the bunts on purpose and think I don't notice, and and then with 2 strikes, I'm like, do it again, because I know you're missing it on purpose. So get it down.
Exactly.
And then they get it down, and it's like, okay, now we understand each other.
Yeah.
It's like, I need you to be able to do these things. But yeah, I think it's just one of those skills that it doesn't hurt you to learn how to do it. It's just putting the bat on the ball and hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
But there's always this obsession with power, right? And guys are unwilling to grow into their power, and they start over swinging. What is your message to guys when they talk about, that you get a kid in there he doesn't have a lot of juice, but he wants to lift everything? How do you explain it to them? Like, this might not be your best way to go about it.
First question, how many home runs have you hit? I'll ask this to my team. How many home runs have we hit? So we should not be trying to lift a baseball. But we've hit doubles. We've hit triples. You've hit 2 outliners. All right. So, my big thing is, with 2 outs, how can we extend the inning? Line drive, ground ball. A pop-up, only one guy has to handle it. He just needs to wait for gravity to take effect and open his glove, right? A lot of things have to happen when the ball is hit on the ground, or player has to move his feet to go make a play. So, I think the launch angle has fooled a lot of people, because you're talking about men playing the game that can hit a pop-up and it's in the stands, and kids who hit a pop-up and it doesn't leave the infield.
Right.
So you have to understand what you have to work with, what type of equipment you're using. And I always stress with guys, if you're just train with wood, so you understand what it's like to hit the ball in the barrel consistently. And then that way, when you have a composite, aluminum, metal, whatever they're made out of.
Ceramic, whatever they're made out of.
Exactly. You know how to get the ball to the barrel, okay? And so that's nuts and bolts what it comes down to.
So when you see guys in here and it seems like their swing's good and they have a decent handle on their expectations, but you see that they're struggling mentally, you're really good at getting the words out. I'm hoping you do it for me right now. Getting the words out that they're trying to express or what's bothering them out of them. How do you connect with players when things are going wrong and they can't necessarily put it into words, because that's a very tough thing for young players to do. Why do you feel guys are so comfortable with you, and what's your is there a strategy behind it, or are you just the Zen master?
One word: listen. You can listen to maybe not what they say, but how they say it. Are they confident in this situation, not in this situation? And you can read their swing. Okay, so the beauty of even tee work, but front toss, is you can put a ball where you know a guy is going to have trouble with it and see if he's going to adjust to that, and then key in on, okay, why are you trying to do this with this pitch? And then you can listen to them. And, the other thing I talk to guys about is I talk to them about situations. What situation makes you the most tense? And then we break it down from there. Well, what is the situation? What do you need to do? So you just need to execute moving a runner from there to there, and the pitcher's throwing you on the outer half of the plate. Okay, so let's make sure you can hit the ball in the outer half of the plate and be productive during that AB. Talking about quality ABs, and you try to simplify it, talk them down off the ledge sometimes. But really, I just listen to guys, and so it's about, like I said, connecting with the guy early on, so you can figure out what questions to ask, to pull the information out and hear what they say, and not only how they say it.
What do you think is a misconception in terms of sometimes when guys come in and there's always different trends going around in baseball training, and what are some common ones you see from the youth level to high school that, whether it's rooted in technology or, like you said, launch angle, like what's something that you're hoping you don't see in 3 years?
Wow, that's a tough one. So now we're in the day and age of pitchers trying to increase spin rate and velocity, and so elevating pitches and then getting depth on another pitch, and the ball's kind of going all over the place, right? So I think it's probably going to come again full circle, and pitchers are going to just start pitching again instead of, so in this day and age now, hitters have to figure out how to be shorter. The longer guys are getting beat, and comes back to trying to do too much and understanding if the pitcher's throwing velo and he's supplying the juice, then all you have to do is get behind the baseball and stay through it. I talk to guys about, okay, what do we need to do to backspin that ball instead of getting around it? You might have hit a line drive, but we've got topspin on it. Okay, it's still going to be a one hopper to a good shortstop, right? If we can stay through that ball and we've got backspin, then it's got a chance to carry. And those are the balls that find the gaps and that make it tough on defenses to handle. So in a few years, you never know. It's crazy what I've seen over the time, almost coaching 40 years. And, the guys who can hit, and the guys who can't, you really have to work at it, okay, and find your niche. And, until you either grow and get stronger or figure out what that is, you need to try to be a full complete hitter, bunting, using the whole field. And then if you're a one-dimensional guy, someone's going to find your weakness, you know. In this day and age where they have videos of pretty much every game you've played, there's a scouting report on you. And, maybe not so much in high school that guys are going to put that time in, but in college, after a game in a 3-game series, guys know how to pitch you. So how do you handle that? So you have to understand, okay, they know how to get me out. Do I know how to not get out or survive in this situation? So
yeah, because the expectations on performance really can get in the way, and I think social media sometimes does play a big part of that, because you see the highlights all the time, and it's always home runs and doubles and all these college guys hitting 25, 30 home runs now. It's like, okay, well, what were they like as high school players that guys don't usually take the time to go back and look at? But it's the high school hitter in himself really hasn't changed much. I mean, there's plenty of guys who have okay swings, but they think they can hit.
Yeah.
And so they hit.
Right.
And that's a huge part of it, just the confidence and having realistic expectations. If you're a guy who should be going gap to gap and you're really good defensively, go gap to gap and be really good defensively. You're gonna get picked up. It's like, but they'll lose opportunities because they want to chase power, because they think that's the missing link. And I think sometimes it's coaches playing to it, sometimes it's parents. How would you coach a kid who's like, dude, my dad's just always on my case, or like he's always yelling stuff or whatever? How do you handle that situation?
Yeah, that's another tough one, just because you're not in a situation. I mean, even in a stadium, people can hear a voice, and I've, talked to other coaches about this. Kids have heard their parents' voice before they came out of the womb, right? So they recognize that voice. So I would say, as a parent, understand what it is the coaches are trying to do for your kid. They want them to be better, because they want to help the team become better. So they're not trying to make your kid worse on purpose. And they can hear your voice. So if it's different than the language of what the team concept is, that's going to come into play at some point. So I'd say, as a parent, enjoy watching your kid play, because it's a short amount of time that it's going to happen. And if they're lucky, they can go on and play college, and even a smaller guy number go on to play pro ball. As a player, it's, guys talk about get locked in, got to lock it up, and that kind of thing. And so there's a certain skill to being able to tune out all the extra noise that goes on, and finding a way to relax and breathe while you can do this, and tune out so that you are just focused on the situation at hand. I mean, it's no different than when you're pitching. You shouldn't be worried about anything but what's my spot, what's my location, what's my release point, what do I need to do on this pitch that you've practiced, right? And as an infielder, you're not looking around listening to everything when you've got a rocket hit at you, or you're an outfielder tracking a ball to the gap. You're focused on one thing, catching that ball, making the play. So it's a tough thing to be in, because they can hear you. And so we have to figure out a way to tune that out so that you can perform at your best, play relaxed. A relaxed player tends to have more fun than a guy who's playing tense and tight and living on every pitch, and so.
No, you don't want to be too reactionary,
right?
And be a victim of the circumstances of the things that happen during a game. I think that's the big thing for guys, telling them you don't have to hit every strike.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to get you out. He's going to make pitches. We're looking for mistakes. We just want to be ready for those when we get them, and not be psyching ourselves out to where we're taking the mistake because we weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things that I try to get across, and I know you do too. And it's just cool to hear how you view It's so cerebral when you talk.
So getting back to that, just on something as simple as a take. You know, some guys will just take a pitch and they look like they're not even up there to hit.
Right.
They take their hand off the bat. They just go limp. And you should be using that to time up, because even if you're taking that pitch, it may be a pitch you might have to hit. So, you know, I talk to hitters about, am I on time? Am I on balance? Am I ready to go? Mm-hmm. So every take should be taken like you're going to take a swing, so you're prepared. When you talk about being prepared, am I prepared to hit the mistake? And as a coach, we've seen that. Like, why didn't the guy swing? It was right there. Mm-hmm. Coach, that pitch was right there. Yeah, we know. We all saw it.
Yeah, we all wondered why you didn't swing.
Were you ready to hit, you know?
That's the one thing that drives me the most crazy when it comes to whether it's showcases or showcase games and travel ball, is when kids are up there and they're just kind of like going through the motions almost, like, which is what, and a lot of times they've been allowed to do their whole career. Mm-hmm. And it's like the guys who view every pitch as an opportunity get the most out of the summers, get the most out of fall ball. Mm-hmm. When they're up there going, I'm trying to accomplish something here, and the pitcher might be overmatching, you know, he might overmatch me, he might be overpowering, but I can hit a fastball. So if I'm on time, I give myself a chance.
Yeah.
And I remember going down when I was a junior to Texas, or not to Texas, we went to Florida for the World with that. First time I'd ever been there, and we faced this lefty. He's going to Texas. He's throwing like 92, 93. I'd never seen that. And it was just like, oh my gosh, that's quick. And I think he hit 94 that game. And then he throws this hammer curveball. And I just remember stepping out going, okay, I can't hit that. Like, not right now. Mm-hmm. And throws me a split. And I'm like, can't hit that. So I'm going to try to swing as soon as he lets his ball go. Or at least I'm going to plan to swing as soon as I see the ball, and at least give myself a chance.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to go up here and come all the way down to Florida to K looking. Like, right. That was the one thing I never did, was like, I didn't strike out looking very much, especially in like those settings, because I had a plan of like, I'm here to show what I can do.
Yeah.
And I tell guys all the time, like, when you're trying to get looks in the summer, walking doesn't help you. Like, there's going to be times where you just don't get anything to hit, and I get that.
Right.
But if you're really there trying to accomplish something, and you have a guy who's has you 3-1, especially a speed guy who also has some pop, and first base is open, but there's a guy on second. I'm like, you can't steal second. And for our purposes, like, we want to win the game, sure, but for your purposes, you walking here doesn't really help you. Mm-hmm. So if you can handle that ball that's a little bit off the plate, that's probably ball 4, and you can foul that off to get another one, now you're onto something. Now, yeah. I've only had a couple guys who can do that, but when they ask, like, what do I really need to do? I'm like, okay, it's there's a lot to it, but like, here are the type of things that you need to do.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going up there to take a 2-0 inside fastball with 2 guys on. Like, if you're an outfielder, you got to hit. So, and if you're a heart of the order guy, that's your opportunity. Like,
right.
I need you to capitalize on these opportunities because that's why you're here. I can have anybody take. Mm-hmm. I don't need my 3-4 hitter to take. I need you to do damage. I need you to strike fear into the heart of the pitcher here. And like you said, some guys, they have it and they can do that. And you had one of my favorite players of all time was Jake Duggar. Mm-hmm. And most people might not know who Jake Duggar is. This guy was legendary in Nebraska. He could do whatever he wanted on a baseball field, probably on a football field, and it was just incredible. What was one of the things that separated Jake from everybody else, or amongst many things? But like, what was one of the things from like a mentality standpoint, or how he went about things?
Wow. Blast from the past.
For reference, Jake Duggar went to Arkansas, was a freshman All-American, and played in the College World Series as a true freshman after starting for 4 years at a powerhouse in Nebraska.
So probably the one thing that separated him was he was just always loosey-goosey. He was just relaxed, just out there having fun. And had some real quick hands and could pretty much hit anything that was in the area code. So he was blessed with some power.
Because he wasn't a big guy.
No, he wasn't very big. He was pretty fast twitch guy. Left, but he's the kind of guy that just would have fun playing the game. The pitcher would be in his windup and his glove would be on the top of his hat. And the ball would be hit, he'd reach up, grab the glove, go track down the ball. So that was kind of guy he was. So at the plate, just really never got wrapped up into it and just, really just played loose. And so I think that was probably the biggest difference between a guy who has that kind of potential that plays tight, that sometimes they're going to struggle because they get too wrapped up in it instead of just, hey, I get to go out and play some baseball, have some fun.
Yeah.
So.
When he played 3 sports, and he was one of those guys where a lot of guys didn't like him, but I played football with him growing up, and he was one of those guys you loved being on his team because he was all in all the time. Like it was loose and it was fun, and it was, for me, it was hard to understand because I had to be more serious.
Yeah.
But I didn't play necessarily. I wasn't tight. When I played too loose, if I did bad, then it was like I shouldn't have done that. I just had to have a certain amount of focus to feel comfortable. And I always envied the guys who could play a little bit looser, but I never really understood that you can play loose and still be locked in.
Yeah.
And that was where he did a really good job of towing the line, and obviously had crazy fast hands. And
yeah. I mean, when the lights came on,
you wanted him at the plate.
He was locked in. So he had that short attention span, but it was attention when ball's in the zone, when the ball was hit anywhere near him, he knew he was going to catch it. We knew he was going to catch it. So, sometimes it's hard as a coach and you're pulling your hair out, but, guys like that are gifted. And, it's hard to explain, and
right.
you can't coach it, you can't teach it, but you can just try to rein guys like that in, and okay, focus now, relax.
Well, because there is the whole thing with high school teams where you'll have a player like that, and then other guys will think that they're that player,
and they're not that guy.
They're not that guy. They ain't that guy. You're not that guy, pal.
Right.
But I saw him return the opening kickoff in a youth football game that we played together 3 times in a row. First, he got called back. And I was like, I'm blocking, and I'm like, I'm exhausted. How are you running 100 yards, 80 yards every time? But no, you do see teams when they have a really good player, they all start to think that, I'm like that player. But that player's putting in copious amounts of work on the side. After the games, he's going to lift, he's going to do this. He's been doing that for a long time.
Right.
And the kid who wants to jump in and say, well, I'm going to act like that guy, hasn't been doing that. And so that's when you have to be careful. It's like, okay, you reel that guy in and be like, all right, I need you to just set the standard for these guys and understand that they can't do the things that you can do, but you can help them in other ways. And it sometimes comes more from a peer, especially when it's someone that everybody looks up to.
Yeah.
And because we have guys like that here who we've explained to them the importance of the words that you say to kids will carry a lot of weight.
Right.
And it goes both ways. If you are joking with a guy about something that he's doing he might not be doing very well, that can stick with him for months. And I was like, and on the same side, if you can give him a compliment, that can carry him through the next month, just feeling pumped up because you gave him a kind word, and it might not even seem like a big deal to you, and it probably doesn't. But the power of your words carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that gets lost a lot with these kids with social media and everything being on their phone, is just the interaction with each other and learning how powerful that is. I mean, we see kids just open up when they come in here over a couple weeks and months because they just get more comfortable being around adults, being around other kids who are like them, who love baseball, and who want to work, and then they kind of start to get more self-confidence in themselves. So I think that's awesome. I just wanted to get your take on some of those guys.
And that goes back to how can I be the best teammate that I can be, right? So whether it's encouraging words, if you're the best player, then other people are listening or watching you. So your actions, the saying, actions speak louder than words. They're watching you, how you go about it. And I always used to say this to the guys who were our best hitters because they were always putting in extra work. I go, hey, bring somebody with you next time. Bring some guys along. It's only going to help them get better as you go. And it's been pretty cool to be part of this here because as we started, we had a great culture from the jump, and guys were accepting of others and just worked together. And so then you could see the older guys taking the younger guys under their wings. And then at the point during the winter break, the college guys came back and the high school guys are watching them work and realizing, man, these guys are taking like 4 to 6 swings, focused, hitting seeds, switching. They're not working themselves into a tizzy, you know, but they're getting their work in, and it's focused work. So then you saw some of our high school guys taking that over, and some of the younger guys, they got a chance to be around them, and you know, the older guys would talk to them about, okay, here's my approach, you know, and guys would come in, this is what I'm working on. This is what I need to fix, or this is what I need to improve on. And so
On the college guys being there,
right,
going, they'll take a bad swing and not reacting.
right,
And the high school guys are like, oh, he doesn't react. And it's like, here, I heard one guy say, it's just a bad swing, it's not a bad round. Even if I have a bad round, it's not a bad day. Even if I have a bad day, I'm still a good hitter.
yeah,
And the kid was like, huh. Like, just kind of light bulb moment of
Yeah.
like, that's the confidence that you can carry with you that nobody can take from you
Yeah.
if you just let yourself feel confident. You know, all baseball players are insecure by nature, but you can still be confident in what you're doing, and that self-talk plays a huge part. You talk to the college guys and the pro guys, it's like, how's your self-talk? And they'll be able to tell you.
Yeah.
High school guys, younger guys, like, what do you mean?
yeah,
It's like, how do you talk to yourself?
right,
And a lot of times the parent's voice is, a lot of times that voice that's in their head.
yeah,
And if you're sitting there going, oh, I'll hear parents come in and tell me about their kid, and he's a high school junior, and they're like, well, he can't do this, and he can't do this. And I'm like, I wonder why. Because you're saying it, and he's standing right here. And I'm sure you say that outside of here.
yeah,
And when you're talking to him about it, it's like, you don't think that sticks with him? Like, maybe if you switch the verbiage up a little bit instead of we talk more about the positive things that he did,
right,
he wouldn't be such a stress ball.
yeah.
But no, that's
And that comes with the experience. The college guys have obviously been through that. They've had more reps. The pro guys have had more reps and realize that you don't need to live and die off of one pitch, one AB, one swing. And so probably the word to the younger guys is it's not that deep.
it's not that deep.
It's not that deep. You're going to get to keep continuing playing until someone tells you you can't play. And then you can go play in a, you know, Sunday league or whatever. So you can still play and have fun, but understand that, you know, the sooner you get over living and dying on one pitch, one at bat, one play, the more you're going to understand the game just keeps going on. And that's the beauty of baseball. You know, you can have a bad day one day. You have to wake up and go back and do it again. You know, football, basketball, you have to wait till the next week. You have to wait until the weekend games or whatever to play. Baseball, wake up, hey,
No,
you got to get back in and you know, lace up the cleats and get after it. So, you know, there's no mercy, right? So,
good or bad.
yes,
Playing today.
exactly.
Well, you see, and the guys sometimes once they commit to college, they feel like they have to do more. And we'll talk to them about it, and they're like, I'm like, what are you thinking about when you come up to the plate? Well, I should. And I'm like, you shouldn't do anything. I was like, you should go to the plate because it's your turn. Look for a pitch you can hit or handle, and try to put a good swing on it. That's all you're supposed to do. You're not supposed. You can't control the result. Once it leaves the bat, it's not your responsibility anymore. Now your responsibility is just bust your ass to first. But it's getting them out of themselves where it's all on me. And I tell guys all the time, like, too, if we played a game and I said you have a 30% chance of winning, and it's a card game, you're not going to be as surprised when you don't win a hand or you don't win each time we play. But for some reason, when we get up to the plate, that just becomes such a foreign concept of like, no, this is going to be hard. And I think that's where training closer to a 50-50 failure success rate, or letting them do things that are going to be successful at, and then making it more challenging, gives them that realization of, okay, this is going to be difficult. I don't want guys to think, oh, I got hitting all figured out, and then they go outside in games and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, wait, this is really hard.
Right.
This isn't that easy. But a lot of times it's more simple than they make it out to be.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate having you on. Thank you for coming. I will see you every day, because I see you every day. But
Yeah.
thank you for joining us on the podcast.
This has been fun.
Darrell Parks, the legend, the whisperer. Thanks for joining us, guys. See you later.